I have so many questions. So I saw The Conjuring, Last Rites, yesterday, Thursday, the 4th of September. I'm going to start right off by saying it's not as good as the first two. I really enjoyed the first two. The second, maybe a skosh more than the first, but they're both really, really good. I didn't hate the third one, but I recognized that it wasn't as good as the first two. And I feel kind of similar about Last Rites. This is the last full-on, well, from what I understand, this is the last full-on Conjuring movie about Ed and Lorraine Warren, starring Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson. This film was directed by the same person who directed the third movie, The Devil Made Me Do It. His name is Michael Chaves. It starts off by telling you this is their last case. This is the case that ended everything for them or whatever. And they have this prologue-y scene, and it's a flashback to the 60s when Lorraine is pregnant with their daughter. Now, something that I figured out, which for whatever reason I didn't piece this together before, but the time frame that these stories are depicted in real life, those stories happened earlier than they are shown in the movies. So they've done some time adjustment because their daughter was actually born in the 40s, I believe. And in this movie, Lorraine is pregnant with her, and it's 1964, I think. And so an event happens, and then we jump forward in time to 86 or something like that. For a good portion of this movie, we are seeing two separate stories. The story of the family and the story of the Warrens, and it's kind of showing how their daughter, she grew up and how she has these gifts, I guess, like Lorraine does, and she sees things that frighten her, and Lorraine is trying to teach her how to shut it out and deal with it. And then there's the story of the which is connected to, in a certain way, events that happened at the very beginning in the prologue, showing Ed and Lorraine when they were younger. In that particular prologue-y thing, at first I thought they had de-aged the actors, but once I noticed that the actress playing Lorraine was not a de-aged version of Vera Farmiga, I noticed that the actor who played Ed was just someone who very closely resembled Patrick Wilson. They did a fantastic job on that pick. Not so great on the pick for Lorraine, but that was just something that I wrote down in my notes. Eventually, Ed and Lorraine get pulled into this case involving the after repeatedly not wanting to be involved in cases anymore because Ed has this heart thing. Maybe it was present in the third movie. I don't really remember, but whatever, he's got a heart thing, and so Lorraine does not want them getting involved in those types of cases anymore. But they do get pulled into one. One thing that I did appreciate was that the motivation for them getting involved in this case was convincing to me. I bought why they went to this location. However, the writing in this story doesn't really hold up in general. I'll talk about the good things, though, first. One was what I already mentioned, that particular moment where they got dragged into this case was convincing to me. Despite all the protests that they had, especially Lorraine had had earlier, it made sense to me why they did this thing. I continue to enjoy the chemistry between Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga, though I fully realize that the real-life characters they're based on probably not as idyllic as the characters that they portray in the movie. I still like seeing what we're given about their relationship. It seems very loving, and they're both very supportive of each other. And I like that positive messaging about their family. They also have a very deep love for their child. And there is some funny moments where their daughter has brought home a boyfriend and things are getting kind of serious. And the boyfriend is understandably anxious, around them because he wants to make a good impression. And it's funny to see the chemistry that actor has, the one who plays the boyfriend, that he has with Patrick Wilson's character, with Ed Warren. Sort of, excuse my dog while she attempts to jump up on the chair over there. There were some sort of comedic moments about that tension in the relationship and how nervous, the boyfriend was. And it was sweet. It was cute. I liked that. I've already touched on the casting choice for the young version of Ed. I thought that was really good. I also appreciated at the end, there are sort of mid-credits-ish scenes and then one little thing at the very, very end. That almost doesn't feel like worth hanging around for. I had been misled about what the contents of these mid-credit scenes were going to be. One indicated that it had something to do with some sort of tie-in with The Nun 2 or something like that. I didn't pick up on that, but then I didn't see the second Nun. So I don't know. Excuse me, I popped my knuckle while I was talking. Basically, the mid-credits scenes are just images of the real Ed and Lorraine Warren and sort of news coverage moments of their cases and things like that, showing pictures from the real stories, I think, that were depicted in the first two movies, maybe the third one too. I can't remember because it's been a bit since I've seen the third movie. Completely forgot to mention this when I was doing my video review, but fans of this series might appreciate seeing certain cameos of characters from the other films showing up in this one. I thought I recognized a couple of people, then I doubted myself a little bit, but then after I got home, I did confirm that there were multiple cameos from the first three films and also from James Wan, apparently. So just wanted to mention that so you guys could keep your eyes open for it when it happens. It's not until the very end of the movie. Okay, back to the video. So, yeah, I liked that sort of stuff. Before I dive into the negatives, I will say, like I think I already said, I'm trying to get this done before a live stream I have to jump on in about 22 minutes. So, sorry, I'm just processing. Like I mentioned, I did not hate this movie, but it's not as solid as I feel like it could have and should have been. Kind of how I felt about the third movie. Once again, we lean into very tropey territory, like dimly lit rooms when they really shouldn't be so dim. And I'm not talking about moments where a character is experiencing a hallucination or a vision. I'm talking about just in general. Why are rooms so dark when there's supposed to be an evil, sinister presence that lurks in the shadows? Why doesn't anybody ever turn on a freaking light when they go into a dark room, like the basement or the attic? Why do characters wander into rooms that are very clearly empty when they're supposedly looking for someone, and it's obvious once you glance in the room, there's no one there? Why do they keep going on in? You know, stuff like that. How come certain rules that seem to matter in the previous movies don't really matter anymore? And there's things that the Warren women can do that I'm just like, I don't get it. I don't understand. And I'm talking specifically about the final act, the climax at the end, with this big confrontation that they have with the spirit or spirits in this house. It felt very muddied and muddled and confusing. It just didn't make any sense to me. Also, why the heck did a priest in this church office somewhere that was not his church, he was from out of town, why did he pick up a ringing phone in this room that he's in? It's not his office. Why is he doing this? Oh, I know why, so that the following scene could happen, but it still made no sense. Why did he pick up the phone? How in the world could someone self-delete using the cord of a floor machine over a balcony, and yet them doing this doesn't cause the floor machine to also crash down with them? Why is someone driving down a tiny neighborhood street super fast in the middle of the night the way this particular person did? Well, I know why. It was so that another moment after that could happen. But why? I get that they're in a rush, but the situation, the environment that they're in, it was not conducive for super fast driving. Why? How could a heavy object fall on someone's foot or ankle or whatever, and yet moments later they are perfectly fine and capable of walking like normal? How come a character is oddly calm talking with a priest that has come to their house shortly after her mother-in-law has just died because a ghost pushed her down the stairs? Why is she so calm? And where the heck did the mother-in-law's husband go after she died? He's all of a sudden not there anymore. Why in the world are there what looks like camera lights in the kitchen of the home? Why? I noticed them at least twice. Once when they were on and once when they were off. I thought it was a mistake the first time, but then the second time I saw them again and it was off, and I was thinking, why is this device here? This makes no sense. It's a kitchen. When I say camera light, maybe like those sort of construction lights that people will use, or I mean they use them too on movie sets, I think, to light a scene. Why in the world does Lorraine's daughter ask to help when she has never had any training in how to fight these types of things? Why? Why did she decide to make a trip to go help certain people when she has no training at all to do this? Like, it doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. There's so much stuff that doesn't make sense to me. It's just not logical. Some of the things that the characters do and the direction that the writing goes in some scenes. There's all these sort of typical random parts thrown into the story about these events that people see. And it's like, well, we got to show one here and let's show one here and let's show one here. People continuing to do stupid stuff when they know there's something scary going on. Just aggravates me. This aggravates me already in horror. And I understand that it's a thing, but I don't like it because it feels so predictable. On top of that, this film is kind of long. It's about 2 hours and 15 minutes. And while I did appreciate seeing the family dynamics playing out with the Warrens and also the I really like the depiction of their life in this house. There were 8 people living in this house, husband, wife, 4 daughters, and grandma and grandpa. I liked how natural a lot of their interactions seemed. I liked the loving nature of the Warrens' relationship, but still, this movie is a bit too long. I don't remember how long the first 3 films were, but this one, I was noticing that it felt long. So there was just a little bit too much wrong with this film for me to give it a double thumbs up or even an enthusiastic 1 thumbs up. Like Chris Gore was saying earlier today, it's a bare recommend. If you're a fan of the series, you'll probably enjoy watching it, but I would say don't go into it with an expectation that the writing is going to hold up as well as in the earlier entries. And prepare yourself for the fact that while there are moments that do work, it just feels like it could have been much better than what we ended up getting. Maybe fans are really going to enjoy it. We'll see. Okay, I think that's about all I have to say for now about The Conjuring Last Rites. If you guys check it out, give me your thoughts. Bye.